TPCSI fans, you want to revolutionize your sports investing habits? Allow me to tell you about WagerWire. WagerWire is an app that helps you become a superior bettor by allowing you to sync all your sports books and track all your bets in one place. See your current action, your betting history, and stats. You could also sign up for sports books and collect bonus offers. Follow them at WagerWire on X, as it's the best account on the platform. Head to App Store or Play Store now and search WagerWire and download the app.
Excuse me, Mr. DJ.
Hey, check this out. We got a great show coming your way.
From the ECSI Sports Studios, it's the Midday Market Report with Jeff Dawson.
Good afternoon, sports fans from all around the globe. I am the host, Jeff Dawson, East Coast Sports Investors, and we got a special show today. The return of the odds couple. Good friend, Senior Mr. Lucky kind of coined me and Scott the odds couple, and I love that. I did watch the show a long time ago. I am dating myself. So I don't know if I was Oscar or not or whatever it is. But, hey, you guys made it. You survived the weekend. You survived the first half of the year. Woke up this morning, my feet hit the ground, and I was like, damn, we're halfway through 2024. Holy shit. Shout out to our proud partner and sponsorship, of course, of WagerWire. If you have not downloaded the app, please head on over to Google Play or wherever you download the app. It's free. Take advantage of the sports books that are available in your state. Download them, get the free promos, the match plays, the bets, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Then tune in to East Coast Sports Investors. Turn on those notifications. We're going to be doing a lot of educational shows on how to use the app, how to start window shopping, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. If you want to join the amazing WagerWire team, send an email to affiliate@wagerwire.com. Tell them JD sent you from ECSI, Travis, Zach, the rest of that team, Amber, Holly, Jay. The list is endless. Jump on board before the train leaves the station. Trust me, you don't want to be caught in the caboose. So without further ado, the co-star of this show, live from Tampa, Florida himself, Mr. Beam 'em Up, Scotty Webb. What's up, champ?
Hey, brother, how you doing today? It's not raining here today, so I'm happy. Yesterday it rained, and I had to take the dogs out in the middle of this rain, and one of the dogs, he don't care. He's a German Shepherd, right? He doesn't care. The other dog, I'm taking him through the garage, getting him out to the front of the door, to where the end of the garage is, and taking him out onto the driveway to take him for the walk. And she goes, nope, nope, I'm not going. So she turned around and went back in, and I'm like, oh my God. So I'm happy that at least it's not raining. It's a good day. Feels good. Feels good to be back in the Sunshine State. So I'm happy.
Yeah, we had the real muggy, severe thunderstorm warnings all day and night yesterday. We had a couple inches in the early morning, afternoon. We survived the thunderstorm. There was a small one, and we got Fenway here, who's just over a year and does not do well. 16 pounds, shake, rattle, and rolling, can pick up a storm 100 miles away, and I'm like, here we go. And the wife even bought him, they call it a thunder vest, trying to keep him comfortable. And 4th of July coming up on Thursday, and the fireworks. So It's sketchy grounds here. We got to try to do the best of it. But I'm glad you and I are back today. And shout out to yourself. Hats off. 2 weeks in the books. Tuesday, Wednesday, Friday, 6:15, and Saturday and Sundays at noon. How's that going? And feels good to be back in the saddle, doesn't it?
Yeah, I mean, it's been probably back since you and I were doing shows together, but since I was doing kind of shows on my own, way back with Timmy back in the day. I don't even know how long ago that was now. I threw on a sport coat, started talking. So yeah, repetition wise, I feel like the reps are getting better. I think the show's getting cleaner, and getting some traction. I mean, we're doing pretty well. And people still want to hear about baseball and they want to learn how to break it down. So I think I can do that pretty well and try to help people. So I think it's good.
I'm going to add something to our little party today. I am on WagerWire, actually wagerwire.com/graph, and we're going to have some fun here, and we're going to do some future tickets. What I want to do is we're 2 weeks away from the All-Star break and 2 weeks away from the Home Run Derby on Monday. Tuesday, of course, the game, and then a couple days after, we'll be back into the second half. And then, of course, the trade deadline's coming up. So before I bring the standings up, Mr. Webb, what have you seen so far? You said something to me backstage, which is true. Life without Harper and Schwarber, not doing well for the Phillies. But the funny thing about the Phillies, they haven't been a first-half team. They've always been a second-half team. So they got some, they're 55-29, 6-4 their last 10 games. And I talk to anyone that wants to listen. What's the key to success in winning in baseball? Be plus 20 games at home and 500 or better on the road. Here they are, 33-14 at home, 22-15 on the road. So they're getting it done on both sides there. So while I'm talking Phillies, let's start in the National League. Eye test. We talked in spring training. We talked April, whatever the date, first pitch, July 1st now. What have you seen? Surprises, duds, and expectations in the second half?
I would say surprises in the National League. I would be very remiss if I didn't bring up the Milwaukee Brewers. I think they're the biggest surprise team to me of all the teams in the National League. And the reason is when you get rid of your best pitcher, Corbin Burns, your second best pitcher, Woodruff, is hurt for the whole season. And you have a young, talented group of guys that can hit. And you didn't really replace those pitchers with anybody. How do you expect to win? Well, their offense has just been real good, and it's been very consistent. And they've gotten just enough pitching. But, where they go and how deep runs they make is different than where they are. I think that they've got to be the number one team that, in my mind, is the most surprising team to me because of how good they're doing. I think in terms of some of the things that are setbacks or things that you didn't expect, I expected Philadelphia to be good, but I didn't expect them to be better than Atlanta. So I think Atlanta's a setback. I don't think that means that Atlanta's dead. I think that Atlanta is a team that, if they can wake up, you got to remember, like all of last season and coming into this season, all I could talk about, or almost anybody would talk about, they don't talk about their pitchers. They talk about how great their offense is and how many runs they score and all that stuff, and how many home run hitters they have. Well, they all went to sleep. So those guys aren't the same team, but that doesn't mean that, Austin Riley and Olsen and those guys, what would this team, I just say it this way, what would this team be without Ozuna, for God's sakes? Ozuna's legs got to be tired and his back's got to hurt and everything because he's carried that team. I mean, just absolutely carried them. So if it wasn't for that guy, I don't know where they would be, but he has almost single-handedly kept them in the race. And those guys start hitting again, and that team can. I'm not saying that team can catch Philadelphia because Philadelphia's got 5 guys that can pitch, so it's different. At least 4 guys that can pitch anyway. So Atlanta's a little different that way. But I think that Atlanta's got to be a team that you look back and you go, oh my God, and then I'm going to surprise you with a team here, and I've got a little bit more for you on this later. But I think that the New York Mets got off to such a bad start, everybody wrote them off, and I'm going to tell you that they're going to be one of the things I think is a great play to make the playoffs. I think the Mets are going to be something that people will go, holy crap, look at this team. Where did they come from?
And I'll interject there because it ruined my play a few weeks ago, or actually about 6 weeks ago. And my thought process was, you and I have talked mightily about the San Francisco Giants, who unfortunately, as we speak, 41-44, 5-5 to the last 10. They're 25-19 at home, but here's what's killing them: 16-25 on the road, and big series win against the Dodgers yesterday. But here's the problem. I talked about the Mets. I talked about the fire sale because they were so bad. I talked about Alonso for sure because he'll go into free agency next year. And then Diaz needed a change of scenery. And so what happens? He goes on the IL. I'm like, all right, get your ass back and then we'll move you. Well, then he comes back looking like Lester Hayes with the goop on his hands, and he gets suspended for 10 days. But you're right, Alvarez is back. He came back quicker than expected. They're hitting the crap out of the ball, and they're getting some good outings from some people that we didn't expect, Scotty.
Yeah, and so here's where I think some of this stuff you have to really kind of look at. Making the playoffs gets you in the ticket, right? That gets you into to run for it. But I'm looking at the Giants right now, and the Giants starting pitching rotation has Logan Webb and Jordan Hicks, Spencer Bevins, and Hayden Birdsong. That's it. That's not going to do it.
Where is Baumgartner? Where's Barry Zito? Where's Tim Lincecum when you need him?
Well, I can tell you that. Here's what I can tell you. I can tell you that Alex Cobb, Robbie Ray, and Blake Snell are coming. They're coming. But my problem is going to be it's going to be too late. They're not going to be able to make a difference. So in my opinion, I think that they're going to be on the outside looking in. And I think that and here's another thing that I was looking at. The San Francisco Giants, as of today, the remaining rest of the season, I got it pulled up right here. So we want to reference it. We can reference it anytime. It's the remaining strength of schedule for every team. And the San Francisco Giants play the 9th easiest. So it's not like they're going to be one of these spots where, hey, we're going to have a tough road to hoe. It's the 21st toughest, if you want to call it that. But they got a lot of ground to make up, and they got a lot of ground to make up against teams that are basically better. I mean, I think, like, for now, what do you do with the St. Louis Cardinals? Right? I mean, are the St. Louis Cardinals better than the Giants? Well, I think they are, but could they not be? Well, it depends on when these pitchers come. If these pitchers were here today, I think they could make a good run, but I think they're still a couple weeks away. And then they got to be really good. They got to be able to do it. So that's where I think the difference is with the Mets. The Mets play the 27th toughest remaining schedule, the 3rd easiest. They've already played all the tough teams. And if I flip this over here, get to the Mets, go down here where the Mets are. The remaining won-loss percentage of the teams they play is 488, so not even 500. And they play 3 against the White Sox, 6 against the Rockies, 3 against the Oakland A's, 7 against the Mariners, 3 against the Angels, and 3 against the Blue Jays. That's not tough at all. And this is a team that should be favored in every one of those games. And the other side of that is they got 7 games against the Phillies and 7 games against the Braves. If they get to a point where maybe they split those games, the reality is they're going to make it. And you can bet this bet. I looked it up today before I got on the show at plus 245 just to make the playoffs. Plus 245 to make the playoffs at DraftKings. I think that's a good number, and I think that's a pretty good bet because the reality is if you look at the standings and where they are, if I go to the right now, they are the first team out of the playoffs, and they are 2 games behind, and the team they're behind is the Cardinals. So the Cardinals on the other side of that, with the remaining strength of schedule for St. Louis, they play the 8th toughest schedule. They have a 509 winning percentage, and they play 3 against the Guardians, 3 against the Yankees, 3 against the Dodgers, 3 against the Braves, 3 against the Twins, and 6 against the Brewers. So my opinion would be is they've got a tougher road to hoe, and I think the Mets are in a position where the Mets can capitalize, and the Mets can leapfrog that team, and then who's going to catch the Mets? I don't know. I think that's the problem, right? I don't think the Diamondbacks are in a spot where, well, like anybody can get hot, but I don't think the Diamondbacks are going to catch them. The Giants are only 3 games back, but those pitchers need to get there to help the Giants. If they can get those pitchers in, then I think you got a Giants and Mets kind of run for it. I don't think anybody's going to knock out the Phillies, Dodgers, Brewers, Braves, or Padres. They're in. Those 5 teams are in. The Cardinals are in for right now, but I think the Mets are a team that you could bet on and feel pretty good about when you hit it, and it's plus 280 or 245.
Shout out to Marty Lowe. Roll Tide, Marty. Congrats on your Predators in the free agent market and their quest for the Cup. And he says the Boston Celtics are up for sale. And if that's true, Marty, and Wick is selling them, well, the reason he's selling them is there's a hefty luxury tax coming the next few years. They, once you said they re-signed Derek White today, and they've signed a couple small players. Well, Jason Tatum's contract's coming up. So when you are at this high luxury tax, a la Golden State Warriors and a few other teams back in the day, it hurts when you got to write those checks. So, but thank you for joining us as always. Scotty, you know what I'm going to do right now? I think this is a perfect lead in here, and bear with me here. I am on wagerwire.com/graph. And I want to bring up this graph here, and I want to show, we're going to pull up how can I do this here? Let's see if I can get creative. Bear with me here. Go here, and then I go here. And then I'm trying to get creative here. Nope, that's not it. Hold on. Bear with me, guys. I want to bring this graph up, and I want to show everyone what I'm seeing here. See if I can do this here. There we go. All right. As the landscape. All right. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to go to the NL pennant. Okay. Again, everyone, if you want and have not downloaded the app, go to wagerwire.com, download it. It's free, and you can follow along on /graph. And so right here, I'm going to X out this, and I'm going to X out this, and we're going to put this is $100 bet from the start of the season. So let's put our cast of characters in here right now. We got the Dodgers, of course. We're going to add the Phillies. We're going to add the Brewers. And this is $100 wager right now. So if you bet $100 on the Dodgers right now, the actual value of the ticket, you are $2 in the green. You are plus 144 with the Phillies. And as you said, the Brewers exceeding expectations. The value on the Brewers right now to win the pennant is plus 437. So you're actually plus 337 to the green. So now let's have some fun here, Scotty. You said the Padres are in?
Padres are in.
Okay. We're going to add the
Braves are in.
Braves. All right. So there's the ones that you said are in right now. So Padres plus 133. The Braves are it's a perfect buy low spot right now on the Braves. The value is $69. And I wanted to bring this up here. When they had their big run a couple of years ago, that was without Acuna. And they don't obviously have Acuna. The problem is they don't have Strider this year. And here's what I want to say. When they had that big run and it was getting close to the All-Star break and the trade deadline, I think you'll remember this. They had no outfield. And their GM made the greatest moves in the history of mankind and got himself an outfielder, and they had an amazing second half. So my question to you before we add the Mets and take a look at my Giants, are you in favor of a buy low spot here on the Braves?
Well, we're talking about winning the pennant now, which is different than just making the playoffs. So when you're going to look at the teams to win the pennant, you better have teams that are going to match up to what the Phillies can put out there on the mound. And that's where I think that some of these teams, I think Brewers are going to be hosed. I think the Padres can put some guys out there. You with Cease and get Darvish going. So the Braves, if Chris Sale can be, the Chris Sale of 10 years ago, and Fried can pitch pretty good, maybe they can match up a little bit. So I would tell you that it's not a bad bet to bet when you're getting them as basically plus money. I think that would be. I think you'd be wasting your money by betting Milwaukee. I think Milwaukee's a great run. They're a great team to make the playoffs. They're probably going to win their division, but at the same time, I say that I don't think they're going to be competitive enough on the mound. So I think that you have a team like the Padres, and I think you have a team like the Braves that can give Philly enough struggle that I think that it would be worth your time to make that bet. So to answer that question in a long-winded way, yes, I think it would probably be a good value to bet that.
All right, let's add your Mets. Mets right now, another buy low spot. And you said to make the playoffs plus 240. Right now, they're just above the Braves. It's $73. So $100 to win the pennant back on March 20th. You're in the red, but another buy low spot. So you're saying the buy low spot on the Mets here is also in play.
Well, I like it in a sense of to make the playoffs. The problem with the Mets is they don't have aces to go out there and match up on the mound. So they're going to need their number one offense to stay number one offense, and that's all cyclical. It comes and goes and comes and goes. So, but I do think that they are in a spot to make a run, and I think they make the run because of the schedule they play, and they have. Well, let's put it this way: they could either make it or break it because they play so many games left against the Phillies and the Braves that if they have half a decent run in those games, and that's just a matter of like, what if the Mets played the Phillies now? I think the Mets would be favored in a lot of those games, depending on where it was at. And I think that would be of benefit to them if they were playing the Phillies right now without Harbor and without Schwarber. So I think that depending upon when they hit and what happens, the Phillies and the Braves could be just going crazy by the time the Mets get a chance at them. But I think that this is one of those spots where I think the Mets to make the playoffs means that they're better than the other teams in the running for that, not necessarily in a great spot for the pennant. But that doesn't mean that, that's what we're talking about is to win the pennant. That doesn't mean that you're not going to get even better value to win the pennant than plus 245. I mean, holy crap. You probably get 500, 600, something like that.
And last but not least, let's look at my Giants. Righty. There you go, $46. So $100 bet in March right now. You are well below the Mendoza line of all the teams we've talked about. This is by far the biggest value ticket on San Fran. When I talked about them a month, 6 weeks ago, again, the thought process was, in my mind, the Mets would be sellers. And then, of course, as soon as I said that, they got the memo and they got hotter than a firecracker. The San Francisco Giants runners up for Aaron Judge, and they offered him $50 more million than the Yankees. Runners up for Ohtani. Runners up for Yamamoto. The list is endless. This guy's got a checkbook just dying to cut some checks. Haven't heard the name Mason Miller much of all from the A's. There's a lot of guys that are going to be available. You talk about Blake Snell. You've been talking about Robbie Ray. You've been talking about Alex Cobb. And this team offensively is just the garbage pail guys. They just get out there and they might start slow, but they don't quit. They get 27 outs, 27 hacks, and they can score some runs. It's their pitching that has let them down. And at $46 for every 100, I'm in, Scott. I'm in.
Well, I don't think that I think that they're a team that, like, right now they're 3 games back of the wild card, and the Mets are 2 games back of the wild card. So the last place team that's in is the St. Louis Cardinals. All of this stuff we talk about prior to the trade deadline. So there's a lot of things here in thought that I sit here and go, well, do you just want to make the playoffs, or do you want to try to do something with it? Like St. Louis is a team that I think if they were to go out and actually try to do something with it, they have more veteranish kind of players, especially pitchers. And, they still got Goldschmidt and, they still got Arenado at third base. And even though those 2 guys aren't necessarily the catalyst of their offense anymore, I think that they want to try to make those contracts pay out. So they might be a team that goes and says, I need X, or I need Y, or I need something to go with Sonny Gray or something, whatever they decide that they want. Because I think, bullpen wise, Heasley's done pretty well in their bullpen, closing down games. And I think that, depending upon what week it is, some of those hitters are pretty good, and, the next week they're not. But I think that, maybe they decide on kind of where they want to go, because I don't know that you can really 100% rely on your Kyle Gibsons and Palentes or whatever, all these guys that pitch for the Cardinals to get there and to hold off teams like the Giants, who can make a lot of moves. I think that's the one big thing that the Giants have over what the Mets have. The Mets have money. They can go spend it however they want to. But I think they got burned enough that they don't necessarily want to. I saw a thing today that says, Max Scherzer is still getting paid by the Nationals. He's still getting paid by the Rangers, who he plays for. And the most money he makes is by the Mets. He's getting paid by 3 teams. So, and $25 million of that's by the Mets. So it's one of these things where I think that they're being cautious of really what they want to do and how they want to spend their money, and then they got to pretend that that they get Pete Alonso back, because I don't know that he's coming back to that team. I think he's gone, like we talked about that before. But you know what? I don't think he's been the most valuable player on that team. I don't think he's been a catalyst for much of anything except negative content. So maybe they look at him that way, and maybe they want to get rid of him, and maybe they don't want him around. I think JD Martinez has been a big help to that team, and from what I see and what I understand that he's doing with a lot of those hitters right now and trying to work with them, and he's been there a little more comfortable. He's been the batting coach for that team, for crying out loud. So they need some pitchers. So if they were to go out and spend some money and get some pitchers, I think they might be in a spot here. But like I said, I don't mind the Giants at all. We talked about that, but I'm very surprised that the words coming out of my mouth are the New York Mets, because I wrote them off a long time ago. And now I'm telling you that I think they're probably I wrote down 2 bets in preparing for this show, and that was one of them, was the New York Mets just to make the playoffs are plus 245. I think that on that same website, it was DraftKings, the San Francisco Giants to make the playoffs were plus 275. But I put the Mets down as more of a better play for me than what the Giants were, but that's obviously not by very much.
All right, let's go to the American League. American League pennant. Before I dig into that, going back to April, surprises, and obviously this team is the biggest surprise in my mind, the Cleveland Guardians. No Tito, no problem. Jose Ramirez has just been an absolute wagon. This team, as you say, death by 10,000 paper cuts. And of course, when I have their team total, it's nowhere to be found. And I have the Jose Ramirez home run prop, nowhere to be found. Then he goes out and hits one the next day, and they put up double digits. But talk about the American League, and I'll put up the front runners, and I'll let you take it from there.
Well, again, I think going back to the biggest surprise, it's got to be Cleveland. But I will say it kind of in the best way that I can, being polite to Cleveland too. I think Cleveland has hit, and they've hit better than I've ever thought that they would, and they have been able to. I'm almost going to call it play old school baseball, where they get a guy on, they get him over, and they get him in. That's what they do, and it's working for that team. And then you get a guy on, get him over, and then they hit a home run. So it's hard to beat that team because the truth is they really don't beat themselves. But again, I will. So let me explain one thing before I go crazy here. I utilize standings that's listed by base runs. So base runs are a way to look at how teams win and lose games, but it also matches them up based off of sequencing, things that happen in a game, whether they're favorable or unfavorable. So what that means is Team A could have a walk, another walk, a strikeout, a home run, and then another strikeout. And they scored 3 runs or 4 runs because they hit a grand slam, but they had all that happen. Well, you can do that in another way, right? You can have a home run, a walk, a strikeout, a walk, a strikeout, a walk, and a strikeout, and they score 1 run. So it's the same exact events, but because of the sequence of the events, which teams aren't 100% in control of, they are favorable or non-favorable. And if I look at, I'm going to pull it up. I have it. I use it in my numbers, but I blend it into my numbers. So I want to pull it up separately, specifically, and I want to tell you that the team that has the most advantage in sequencing of all the teams in Major League Baseball is the Cleveland Guardians. The Cleveland Guardians are 8 games sequencing wise better than where they should be performance wise. So if you really think about that, that means that they're really not even the best team in the American League Central. So I think that even though I sit here and tell you how great they've been, and it's fun to bet on a team like that, and they work hard and they do all these different things to score a bunch of runs, I don't think they're going to win the American League Central, Jeff. I think the Minnesota Twins are going to catch them, and I think the Minnesota Twins are going to be one of your best bets to actually win the American League Central at plus 280. I think Cleveland has won enough games at this point that I think they're going to be on the fringe making the playoffs, but I think they make the playoffs, but they're going to be kind of right on that borderline, because another team that I think that it's got to be a shocker to everybody is the Boston Red Sox. I think the Boston Red Sox are a team that you wouldn't have thought of in this particular spot. And I think the Boston Red Sox are a fringe playoff team that when I looked at the remaining strength of schedule for the Boston Red Sox, Jeff, it is right in the middle. They're 13th, but they've got 10 games with the Yankees. So it depends on how they do with the Yankees. They got 7 games with the Orioles. So that's kind of a tough stretch for them. But they also have 3 with the White Sox, 3 with the Rockies, 3 with the A's, 3 with the Mariners, 3 with the Tigers, and 6 with the Rangers. So that's kind of their easy part. So I think that's a team that has some pitching that needs to get more consistency from their offense. But I'm not going to put it past them to actually make the playoffs. And of all the teams that I think that are currently listed as being in the playoffs and kind of where they are, I think the greatest faller could be the Seattle Mariners. The reason I say that could be is because the Seattle Mariners actually play the second easiest schedule remaining, but they also are 21-25 against 500 teams. They are also a team, when I looked at the schedule, or the thing that they are the only, where's Seattle at? Right there they are. They're only +6 on run differential. And teams like Boston and Houston, which aren't in the playoffs currently, are +30 and 33. I think Seattle's got a lot of work to do to really get there. Their pitching has done stuff, but their GM is not afraid to make changes. And if they can go get some bats, maybe this team wakes up and maybe this team has a better chance. So I think that Houston has a good chance and probably will make the playoffs. And if you take teams out, I think you're taking out teams both Seattle, Cleveland, maybe, but you're looking at Seattle, Boston, Cleveland, Kansas City, kind of all being in that last 4 teams looking to get 2 spots. Because I think Houston, they play the 20th toughest schedule, so the 10th easiest schedule. I think Houston's a team that can get there and will get there, especially when they get their pitchers back. It's been amazing to me that they're doing this without Kyle Tucker right now, and they don't have hardly any starting pitchers. They have one, Valdez, and Valdez has been hit or miss. Everybody else is hurt. Every other starting pitcher that they're supposed to have is gone. Now some of them will be back, but that's a team that is going to get better as they go along, and they're going to need Verlander to pitch a little better than what he has to make any kind of run. I would tell you that, in my opinion, Baltimore is a little bit of a surprise, and only in a sense that they won 100 games last year. I expected regression this year. I'm not seeing it. I'm actually seeing that team actually be better. I think that team wins the American League East and passes, and they've already caught the Yankees, but I don't think the Yankees will be there I think the Yankees make the playoffs, but I think that you're going to run into I think it's going to be Baltimore, Minnesota, Houston that wins their divisions, and I think you got the Yankees that are in. And then you got 4 other teams, Boston, Seattle, Cleveland, Kansas City, battling for those last 2 spots.
Let me add the Royals here. The Astros, I got to give credit where credit is due. I always do that here. Gil Alexander at Veasan. Go follow him, beating the book. So it was on June 1st or the day before he did his regular show for Veasan, and his pick to have the most wins in the month of June was the Houston Astros. And what was amazing is, like, the Baltimore Orioles had 29 games. There was another team that had 28 games. There was another team that had 27. The Orioles, I mean, the Astros, I think, only had like 24 games. And it came down to yesterday. He needed the Orioles to lose. He needed the Astros to win, and I think he needed the Dodgers also to lose. It came down. It was funny. It came down to three things. All happened. Congrats to Gil. He got, I think, plus 2,400 at Caesars, plus 1,300 at Circa. I haven't listened to him today, who he expects to have the most wins in the month of July. It goes on number of games played. So in other words, if there was a tiebreaker, the Astros had less games than the two teams they were competing against. So hats off to him there. Astros, great buy low spot at right now. If you had them in March 20th, they're at $46. Great buy low spots. The Red Sox at 93. Were really peaking, and then the Padres came into town. They struggled there. Your Twins are at 112. The Mariners, as you said, 127. The Orioles, 143. Yankees, 180. You talked about the Royals. If you had them in March, it's a beautiful sell now, like the Guardians, plus 394, Scotty.
Yeah, I think that you run into two problems here. I think that so the Royals, let me pull this up for a second. The Royals, Kansas City, they play the 18th toughest remaining schedule. They got 3 with the Phillies. They got 7 with the Guardians. So that division's going to be shaped up here between some of these games. They got 7 with the Guardians and they got 6 with the Twins. So and when I look at that, the Royals are let me go back to regular season here. The Royals are already 7 games behind the Guardians now, and the Twins are 6 games back. But I think the Twins play the Royals 6 times. They play the Guardians 8 times. So these teams are going to battle each other to win that division. But Minnesota has 6 against the White Sox, 6 against the Marlins, 3 against the Angels, 6 against the Tigers. And the one thing I think that nobody really realizes is the Guardians being in first place. And I looked at they're the 9th toughest schedule. They play 3 against the Phillies, 4 against the Orioles, 3 against the Yankees, 3 against the Dodgers, 3 against the Brewers, and 8 against the Twins. But of the teams that are supposed to be cake teams, they play 10 against the Tigers. Now, I don't know if, and I've got it pulled up here, I don't know if people really realize, if you go back and look, the Tigers and the Guardians, even when they were the Indians, the Tigers and the Guardians, they play series now. They don't like each other. It's kind of a rivalry that I don't think people really realize exists. So if I look at 2023, the Cleveland Guardians played the Detroit Tigers 13 times. They only won 4 times. They were 4-9 last year against the Detroit Tigers. And the year before that, 2022, Cleveland was 10-9 against Detroit. This season already, they play them, and they've only played 3 times. Cleveland's 2-1. So my thoughts are this. I don't think that that's a cakewalk deal to play Detroit for Cleveland 10 times. I think they'll probably go 5-5 in those games. And if you're going 5-5 in quote easy games, the games you're supposed to win, I think that's where Cleveland's going to run into this trouble, and they got to play 8 games against Minnesota. So if you go 5-5 against Detroit, you better go 6-2 against Minnesota. And I don't think they're going to go 6-2 against Minnesota. They just moved Sticks out. So McKenzie's back to AAA. They're going to bring up Gavin Williams. Well, Gavin Williams is not a savior for Cleveland. I don't know if you guys know who Gavin Williams is, but he's not a guy that's going to go out there and throw 98 miles an hour and beat Paul Skeens. That's not what he is. He's going to be a guy that's, an average starter. That's kind of who he is. So Cleveland has one guy that you can rely on the mound to match up as a stud pitcher, and that's Bivey. Everybody else that they're going to throw out there is hittable, and you can't win when you put Logan Allen on the mound. He's getting hit every time out just as hard as McKenzie was. So my opinion is going to be that I think Minnesota becomes – they're plus 280, by the way, to win that division right now. 280. I think that's a great bet. I don't think the Royals are going to be past Kansas or past them. I think the Twins can go get another pitcher if they wanted to, or get another bat. They got plenty of bats. I think they can get pitching or whatever they need. So I think that's a good thing. And one of the other bets that I wrote down here, and I think is kind of weird, you can get the Baltimore Orioles at plus 160 to win the American League East. I didn't think you could get them at a plus number, but you can. And I think that you should do that. I think that that's a good bet. They're going to win the American League East. They're going to beat the Yankees. So I like Baltimore in that spot. So I like Baltimore. So the bets I kind of had for this show, Jeff, on playoffs and stuff was Baltimore plus 160 to win the American League East, Minnesota Twins plus 280 to win the American League Central, and the New York Mets plus 245 to make the playoffs.
I like all three of them. I'm looking at the American League standings. The Mariners 3.5 games ahead of the Astros. I like the Astros to catch them there. You've been talking Twins all year. Listen, and you talked about the matchup and the rivalry between the Guardians and the Tigers. Well, if those are 3 series, I assume a 3, and a 4, they're going to catch Skubal at least twice, if not 3 times. So, my thoughts on Cy Skubal there. So they're only 6 back, the Royals 7 back there. And then the American League East, again, 2-headed race right now. Orioles and Yankees both tied. Orioles 53 and 51, Yankees 54 and 32. I have to comment on what Alex Cora said the other day when they was talking about the Red Sox were in the 3rd wild card, then they're in the 2nd wild card. And he made like a little gesture to say, well, why think that's small? There's a team that's not playing to where we think they will be playing soon. And I think he was talking about the New York Yankees.
Well, I think that the Yankees need a lot of help. And this is what I mean by a lot of help. Aaron Judge. So here's a good thing for you. I don't have the numbers right in front of me. Maybe I can look it up real fast. So, do you know what the numbers were when Bryce Harper stats MVP season? Let me see if I can find it. MVP season. The year he won the MVP, here it is. The year he won the MVP was 2021. He had 35 home runs, 84 RBIs, and 141 games. He batted .309. Write that number down real quick. 309, 35 home runs, 84 RBIs. Because I'm getting ready to tell you something.
Yeah, which Judge going to have that at the All-Star break?
He's got it now, right now. So if it wasn't for Aaron Judge, being, I don't know, some other planet guy, and then Juan Soto carrying that team before Aaron Judge decided to go be, I don't know, whatever Aaron Judge is anymore. I don't know what to tell you. Then there's nobody else on that team that's hitting. I mean, there's nobody else that's any good on that team. Stanton, I will say, was doing pretty. I mean, he hit 14 home runs before he got hurt. So Stanton was helpful, but the rest of the team, Jeff, even as guys that are trying to add to try to help them, aren't there. The starting pitching was okay. Their bullpen was, remember at the beginning, their bullpen was helping them all along. Now it's not. Now the starting pitchers are kind of falling on their face a little bit. They're getting exposed over and over and over. They need multiple bats. They need more than one. You can't just now I think Volpe's okay, but you have Volpe and then Soto and then Judge, and then you got nothing. There's nothing behind him. And then on the mound, I don't know what you're going to get from Garrett Cole. Garrett Cole at least threw 96 miles an hour yesterday in his third game back. So I'm not sure exactly where he's going to end up. I think, and I don't know how healthy he's going to stay the rest of the season. I mean, you can't have an elbow problem and then not have surgery on it and then say it's okay and it's fixed. So I'm not sure where he's going to end up. Cortez is Cortez. He's not like an ace. And you've seen, and this is the big thing I was getting ready to write articles about that I haven't had time to get to yet. But these kids that are pitching, and they've got one. The guy's name's off the top of my head, not thinking of him. The kid who's pitching really good for them.
Heel,
yeah. So Heel's about at an innings limit. His arm's going to fall off, and then they're gonna back him off, right? So he's not going to pitch that much. So who's going to pitch? So you got Stroman out there. Look, Stroman has been very good for the Yankees in terms of winning games. He's not a good pitcher. He gets hit and he's walking guys. So metrics and all that stuff, he gets smashed on metrics. But, the way he wins games is because he puts the ball in the right place and gets people to make outs. So he's been doing a good thing for the Yankees. So my opinion is Baltimore's got money. Baltimore can go get another pitcher. They're going to need to get another pitcher. Bradish, if he can come back, and I don't know that he will, was a good guy for them. But they need somebody to go with Burns. And they need somebody to replace Burns because Burns is a free agent at the end of the season. And I don't know that they're going to be able to get him back. So maybe they can go find somebody. But everybody keeps talking about go get Crochet from the White Sox. That's who everybody wants to go get. Well, my opinion on that is that he's a great pitcher, but his arm's going to fall off too. He was a relief pitcher for the White Sox for a couple years. And now this is kind of like his first year being a major starter. He doesn't have the innings to give them the support that you need them for down the stretch. So where are you going to find the right guys to come in and the right guys to pitch? I don't think Garrett Crochet is the right guy to go and get, and especially mortgage. They want like 8 million guys for that guy. They tried to sign him from what I understand, and they couldn't get that deal done. So now they want to have a trade package that's kind of like a Juan Soto deal. You're going to give me like 5 different million people for this thing, and you're going to give me Mackenzie Gore, and you're going to give me all these other guys, and none of that's going to happen because he's not going to be a benefit as they go down the stretch. And I don't know. I guess we'll just have to wait and see who becomes available and what that looks like. I think that the Blue Jays, for example, are a team that has veteran talent, that they're saying all the right things around not trading Guerrero or not getting rid of Bichette or not getting rid of breaking that whole team apart. But those are the kind of guys that are going to go help teams, those players and those kind of teams that, like the Angels have I know I said the Angels, but they got Rengifo on that team who's batting over 300 and he's hit several home runs. Ward on that team can help teams, and they can. Those are guys like, I wouldn't be surprised to see like the Braves go get Ward and let him play in the outfield, and then have him go out there and play for the Braves every day, and then hit 20 home runs the rest of the season. I mean, that's the kind of guy that guy is. So I think that this will be a very interesting trade deadline, because you could, if you're the Pittsburgh Pirates, for example, do you think you're out of it? You sit there and you go, I got Paul Skeens, and I got Jones, and I got Keller. I got three guys that can pitch. Let me go get some bats, and maybe we can make the playoffs. And who knows, with these three guys, maybe we can do something in the playoffs. I think it's going to be a very interesting trade deadline, because who's buying and who's selling? And I don't know the answer to that question, because when you pull up the standings and you pull up wild card and you pull up the National League, you've got two teams that are double digits back. Everybody else is within 5 games. And that includes the Pirates and the Nationals and the Reds and the Cubs and all these teams. I don't know what they're going to do. I don't know what they think of themselves.
No, there's a lot there. And you talked about arms falling off. I was on Sports Grid yesterday afternoon, and Scott Wetzel asked me that FanDuel was offering some K props for Paul Skeens, and 150, 170. And the problem that I have, and you just talked about the Pirates, is, I think Paul pitched 39 innings in the minors. Now he's up in the majors, and they got an amazing 1, 2, 3. The problem is, how many innings is Paul going to pitch? How many innings are they going to allow Skeens to pitch? Even if they go every 6 days, you're going to get him through the rest of July. You're going to get him to August. And now you're going to be staring at September 1st. He's at 100+ innings. We're 5 games out of the wild card. Yeah, it sounds great. At some point, right? That's their franchise. That's their face. The plug could be pulled on him for the month of September.
Hey, I got his numbers right in front of me. So in 2023, now he got drafted in 2023, and I don't know how many innings he pitched in college, because I don't have that information right here in front of me. In 2023, he threw 7 innings in minor league baseball. That's it. And in 2024, he's already thrown 27 AAA innings, which everybody was going crazy about. 7 starts, 27 innings. So they knew that they were going to bring him up. It was a matter of time. They were just letting him get his ups and downs, is what they call it. And he's already thrown 52 innings in the big leagues. So far this year, he's thrown 80 innings. I would say that he could probably throw 120.
The magic number is usually 120. That's the number. So again, 80. That's
40 more innings.
That's 40 more innings. So again, if you're guarding him, that's 8 starts and 5 innings.
Yeah. So that's Paul Skeens. Or maybe you just, I don't know, stretch him out or do whatever or whatever. But Jones is in the same spot, right? Isn't Jones like a guy that hasn't pitched a lot too? Jones threw, he's thrown a lot of minor league innings, for God's sakes. In 2022, he threw 122 innings. Last season, he threw 126 minor league innings. He's at 86 innings this year. I think they would let him go 140 innings.
Yeah, usually that's the 150 jump. So Jones is fine. They got Keller, and they got someone else. Who was the other pitcher there that's been pitching well? They got a 4th now that's been pitching better.
Well, they got Keller, Skeens, and Jones. Falter's been pitching halfway decent. I don't like that guy.
No, I don't like him.
The guy that's been pitching that maybe lost his spot now that Perez is back is Ortiz. Ortiz is their bulk guy. So he would come in, and pitch in 4 or 5 innings and then be done. But he pitched when Martin Perez was out, and Martin Perez is going to get hit. At a certain age, and it's kind of like Marco Gonzalez and some of those guys. They're just not going to make it. But while I'm here, I might as well look at our White Sox pitcher that we just talked about and see what his deal is. Garrett Crochet. So Garrett Crochet last year in 2023, Jeff, in 2023, oh, that's big leagues. And let's get both. Let me find where I can get his numbers for splits. He only threw 12 innings in Major League Baseball last year, but what was his minor league numbers last year? Dun, dun, dun. I should be able to pull that up. Dashboard, customize. I want your minor league numbers. That's not what I want. I can't find it.
Well, I can honestly tell you this. The price tag is so outrageous. The only way I think something gets done for Crochet is being a Dodger deal and say, hey, we'll take the ransom for that, but we want to get Luis Roberts thrown in there for pennies on the dollar.
Yeah, well, they could do that. I mean, there's all kinds of stuff, but I don't know, another thing I don't think that people realize is, let me go back over here, prospects, White Sox. Garrett Crochet is a good pitcher, and I've been pretty impressed with him. But the White Sox actually have a guy named Noah Schultz. Noah Schultz is every bit Paul Skeens, every bit. And I think that people don't realize who that guy is or what that guy is. So in 2023, he pitched 10 games in single A. He pitched 27 innings. He had 38 strikeouts. So far in 2024, he has thrown 20. He's thrown 50 innings, and he has 72 strikeouts in the minor leagues. I mean, this guy is he's pitched 70 innings and he's allowed 34 hits. This guy, nobody knows him. His name's Noah Schultz. He's coming, and I think that the White Sox. Why would you give up Garrett Crochet if you can have Crochet and Schultz and some of this stuff and build around some of these guys? I get it. Maybe you don't want to have the Caribbean flair, if you want to call it that, with the players they have, and you want to change that dynamic and change that around. I get that, and maybe you want to break that up some. But man, if you got these guys on the mound, you got a chance and a legitimate chance as when they get there. But it's a matter of kind of getting there. And he just went from AA to AAA, so we'll see how he does. He might be a late season call up and get a couple of starts, and then he'd be on the major league roster next year. Noah Schultz, a name to remember. Right there, you go.
You can catch Scotty Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, 6:15. Saturday, Sunday,
Tuesday, Wednesday,
Friday, 6:15 on this channel, and then Saturday and Sunday at noon. Brain farts. It's tough getting old here, kid.
Hey, listen, I do the same thing over and over. It's like, shit, I got to go pick up my wife at the airport today.
Always a pleasure breaking down bases. The odds couple. Thanks to Senior Lucky, and who's been on vacation, MIA. I even wrote you up on our VIP email the other day, Mr. Lucky, and didn't get a ha-ha from it, but that's okay. I know you're enjoying the summer life. Scotty, always a pleasure. Closing thoughts on where they can find all your work and where they can sign up for pennies on the dollar.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, follow me on Twitter. It's an easy thing to do. Just go click the little button that says follow or whatever. Typically, I follow everybody back. It's at Webby20 MLB. Obviously, MLB baseball. 20 was my number when I played, so it's a pretty easy transition for me to remember Webby20 MLB. And go to my website. That's MLB daily every whatever I do it, however I say it. It's go to the website, www.mlb-daily.com. Go there. There are two things. One, you can get the free newsletter. So when I finally do write up these guys with their arms kind of ready to fall off, you'll get that stuff that comes right out all the time. Or you can sign up and you can be a client too. You get the plays, you get all the data that I do every day. I have my own odds. I got Webby odds, and I have a EV calculator tool that comes out, so you can see good plays that my Webby odds tells you to bet on. A little weather report, pitcher tool, offense is in there, scoring predictor, all that kind of stuff every single day. And it costs $100. I mean, for $100, I mean, that's basically one bet. But anyway, and then you'll get also access to, if I make a bet, you'll see it. It'll be there. I've had fun. It's been great. So anyway, that's how you follow me. That's how you get in contact with me. And if you have questions, make sure you ask. I'd love to answer them.
In about 1 hour, myself and Andrew McGinnis from Wager Talk from McGinnis Picks will be here to talk some CFL, some MLB, and whatever else he decides. Maybe the NHL hockey draft that just happened there. Scotty will be back tomorrow at 6:15. It's a short week here, obviously, with the 4th of July. The MLB 2 weeks till the All-Star break, and then we get a fun 2 weeks till the trade deadline. You and I, the odds couple, will be back once a week moving forward. So we can't thank you enough, Scotty. Keep up the great work, and we will catch up soon, okay?
Hey, I appreciate it. Thanks for having me on.
From myself, Jeff Dawson at EC Sports Invest, the one and only Scotty Webb at Webby20 MLB. We wish everyone a blessed day. See you in about 1 hour. Shout out to Mr. Marty Lowe as always. You can go buy the Celtics, just pay cash or a big check. So see you soon.